Persona 5 Mementos Mission. This manga takes place between the 5th and 6th heist of Persona 5, aka Okumura and Sae's heist, meaning that this takes place in October. Also, quick side note, this manga is not royal based, though Kasumi does appear in volume 3 as a little drawing. Also, this is pre-Sae, which means no Akechi joining the Phantom Thieves. He does appear in the manga a couple of times, but that's kind of it. And instead of being like the main Persona 5, following the main story, it does something interesting. The Mementos Missions. If you guys don't know what the Mementos Missions are, they're basically the side stories of Persona 5. And certain confidants required them. And unironically, the two best ones, Mishima and Chihaya's, required 2 Mementos missions. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the story. I've decided to do the first 6 chapters, as I've realized that reviewing the first 6.5 chapters, because after chapter 4 there's 4.5, has over 2,023 words. So I'm going to split this video into 3 parts, then do a compilation video afterwards. But anyway, let's talk about chapter 1. Mementos Mission starts out with a bunch of Shujin students being interviewed. Also, on a side note, my goat Mishima is like the first character on panel. Like, it's hard to notice, but once you see the hair, you know it's fucking Mishima. Anyway, a bunch of more random Shujin students are getting interviewed. You might be wondering, hey, why are they interviewed? Well, the press are asking them about the Phantom Thief. Students basically say, oh, they're cool and such. Anyway, Kawakami comes in panel and basically says, hey, stop filming the students. This is shortly followed by a broadcast of Akechi, which quickly pans down to the street, introducing our main character, Akiraku Ren Amamiya, saying he will reform this world, as we immediately see An and Mika, which are 2 other characters in P5. I'm pretty sure I don't need to introduce you to An, but I think Mika might be a bit required. She's essentially An's rival in her weird model, my bad, social link. With both characters being name dropped, yeah, Mementos Mission at some points just shows characters without name dropping them. Mika teasing Anne by asking if Ren is her boyfriend, which she instantly shuts down by saying, nah, he's just a friend of mine. We also hear a meow from Ren's bag, which I'm pretty sure we all obviously figure out it's Mona in this cat form. Now, Mika reveals to An and Ren that she's being harassed by a stalker, and they quickly bring up the idea of the Phantom Thief. Mika just essentially says they're an urban legend, nothing special about them. She also proceeds to simp for Akechi, which is like a majority of the game, not gonna lie. Akechi simping was crazy in P5's main story. But anyway, we're introduced to Shiro Asukara, or the president. Then he has an immediate medical emergency, which is just later revealed to be like a poisoning. Yeah. Anyway, Ren bumps into some random homeless dude. He becomes important. He appears a couple of times throughout the manga. Anyway, we're actually introduced to Iwai, which was like a very surprising thing. He's like one of the first characters introduced, and I'm like, oh wait, they're gonna cover social links in this? I was like, holy shit, that's peak. I already mentioned Mishima and Kawakami, but anyway, Ren works here part-time, and after finishing his work there, he just heads to Fuji Bath, which was the, bathhouse right next to LeBlanc. But anyway, he meets the same homeless dude over there, and then he wakes up like the next morning. He's like, oh wait, I gotta ask Oya some shit. So anyway, Ren asks Oya about the whole president fiasco, and that's when it's revealed that the president was poisoned. And he might be a piece of shit, because apparently his agency might have driven some girl idol into suicide. The chapter ends with An calling Joker, saying Mika has been arrested. Chapter 2 starts out with the introduction of Ryuji Sakamoto, the best fucking character in Persona history, talking about the Mika case with Ren, when they realize they haven't really finished the maths homework. So they do that, and they're also supposed to meet up with Makoto, Futaba, and Haru. Anyway, they meet up at the place, they discuss the possibility of everything of the case, about Mika, before On comes bursting in saying Mika didn't do it. Ren sides with her, and before deciding to do anything, Ibukis sets do anything to scout out about everything about this case. Also, another thing that happens is that Makoto runs into some dude, drops her bag, and picks up the other dude's bag. That's gonna become important next chapter. Anyway, the chapter ends with Ren meeting with Takechi in LeBlanc. Chapter 3 starts out with another discussion about the Mika case with Takechi, saying it's gotta be Mika since she was the only one that really touched the drink before they got handed out. Takechi and Ren both make a deal with each other about another case called the Double Fang murder case, a mercenary murdering criminals. Anyway, flash forward of Ren being in the same bathhouse he was in chapter 1, thinking of his conversation with Takechi, where Takechi tauntingly said, "They're just like the Phantom Thieves." After exiting the hot spring, Ren gets a phone call from Ryuji about a comment on the fan site, or the Phantom Thieves forum, about Takemi being the one to create the poisons, and then the Phantom Thieves should probably just change her heart. Ren, arriving home later on that night, receives a message from On saying that Mika wrote it. As Ren goes to write down everything, we see a creepy stalker checking out Makoto through a screen. Anyway, halfway through the chapter, we read it with Sleeping Yusuke. Yes, Sleeping Yusuke, as he once again sleeps over at Ren's house because this guy's the definition of freeloading. Anyway, the gang just discusses random shit until Futaba brings up Cerberus, which will grant people wishes, which has a rumor about a certain store on the third day of the third month in the morning. Cerberus will appear and grant you a wish. Ren is very tired, so he decides to grab an energy drink that he got from Takemi on the table, which Yusuke points out is kind of nice. He takes it, drinks it, and On and Ryuji, both being too late to stop him, bursting through the door, warning everybody that's poison. Yes, it was made by Takemi, so they think it's poison. They say Takemi poisoned some kids throughout their bleeding in her office. Yada yada. Anyway, Yusuke quickly collapses to the floor, everyone panicking. Makoto has an idea to punch out this poison out of Yusuke. At the same time all this happens, Haru's getting cake for everyone, as Ren uses a Showtime. I don't know if this is hinted at, this might be a Showtime attack, yada yada, but I don't think so. Chapter 4. The chapter opens up with On and Ryuji both apologizing to Takemi. Apparently he didn't collapse due to the poison. Apparently it was due to light dehydration and anemia. Obviously Yusuke did that. Obviously that's the cause of Yusuke being like that. That's the most Yusuke shit I've ever seen in my life. Also, the kids that were poisoned were just kids dressing up for Halloween. Morgana scolds everyone for believing in the fan site all the time, hey, they don't believe everything that's said on there. On praises Haru for basically making them all stop fighting and panicking, and they start speculating about the comment. Ren saying it might be Takemi's former boss, says Takemi used to be a part of a massive hospital. It's explained in P.5, her social link over there. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, the Makoto bracelet thing. That becomes important this chapter. I was kind of wrong about it. My bad. I said it was going to become important next chapter. I meant this chapter. Anyway, Haru appraises it and realizes, oh shit, this is actually real diamonds. Ren asks why did Makoto not leave, the stuff back to the store? Because the bag has the store name on it. She says, oh yeah, I tried to do that, but they weren't carrying products like this. With that, On slips the bracelet on Makoto's wrist, and it perfectly fits Makoto. but a slight issue comes up. Makoto can't remove it. So Ren takes Makoto to EY to try to remove it. EY says that Makoto should be able to remove the bracelet with his help, but he needs special tools that he's currently lacking as of right now. He said it might take a few days to arrive, which causes Makoto to be shocked. EY gets another strange phone call, like in chapter 1, I forgot to mention that. Ren happens to be in the same cafe as EY. Happens, by the way. Another sketchy dude, like, sketch dude. The same dude from the phone call talks about EY's past, like how he used to be a delinquent and such, and how he beat up a bunch of gangs. But EY calls up Ren, which is the signal. Or it's like a signal from his phone, not calling up anyway. So anyway, after EY leaves, Ren is supposed to record the entire conversation on the phone with Sketch Dude. He does that, Sketch Dude notices and says, "Hey, what do you want, kid?" Ren blows him off. After the encounter, he just goes back to the bathhouse, and he gets a phone call from Akechi, updating him on the Mika case, saying that her being the culprit is out of the question since he used a mix of digital toxin and animal toxin. Anyway, which caused a reaction to shorten its half-life, meaning that it took an hour for the symptoms to show up. But it showed up within, like, directly after he made contact with the cup. This chapter ends with Makoto panicking about the bracelet and being said that the Buchimaru panda plush, she doesn't have it anymore. So we see the same Buchimaru being ripped open by a guy named Fugari. Ren then essentially summarizes the chapter before receiving the phone call. Chapter 4.5. This is basically a 13-page mini chapter. Sai just essentially praises Akechi for solving the case. Prior to this, Sai gets robbed, which leads to her heel kicking a dude to the chin and breaking her own high heels, deciding to go to a shoe store of Akechi to pick up new shoes where they chat a bit. I highly recommend reading this chapter, okay? I like it. You should probably read it too. Anyway, we should probably move on to chapter 5 now. Chapter 5 starts out with the introduction of another character, this time Sojiro. Sojiro telling Ren to essentially wake up as we quickly switch over to Ryuji, An, and Haru in a limousine. After both almost arrive late to school, An is kinda down in the dumps as right now. It's due to her feeling responsible for getting Makoto stuck with the bracelet, even though Makoto says it isn't her fault. With Haru calming her down, we later see Makoto with hand wraps to protect it. She looks like a boxer right now, which is real funny. We also see someone from the newspaper club spying on the gang. She's shit-talking Makoto about, oh, she's hanging out with the new delinquent transfer student. As said delinquent transfer student is right behind her. She is scared shitless, dropping the notebook, but Ren basically gives it back to her, and he's like, oh hey, you dropped this. Anyway, she points out that Ren is usually silent and scary, but this time around, he's smiling. Fast forward to class, and one of Ren's teachers, you know, the one that throws chalk at you in-game, is complaining to Ren about himself, saying that Amamiya is more of a pet. I think he's got the guts to look at him that way. Ren is also, like, extremely tired, like he's borderline about to lose consciousness and is staring at his phone. He gets a message from Haru, then Makoto, and Ryuji checks in, same thing with Yusuke. This annoys the shit out of the teacher, which makes him throw a piece of chalk at Ren. Ren dodges, and Mona points out, hey Ren, you weren't paying attention. After lunch, Ryuji and Ren all head to the roof of the school to discuss the new incident about Eri Kurobane, which has a full body of wound according to some people on the fan side, asking, hey, we could investigate this. Oh yeah, Mishima is also fully introduced at this point. Anyway, the panel afterwards, Yusuke is talking about the situation. Ryuji states that since she's a first year, there's just simply no way we can get in contact with her. Futaba figures out how to contact her pretty easily. She works at a maid cafe. Wondering how they can get Haru and Makoto decide to become maids. Yep. Ren is about to walk into the cafe, and after hearing about what the thieves are doing as of right now. Chapter 6. This chapter starts out with a conversation between Ryuji and Futaba. Ryuji complaining about that Futaba knew everything about the maids, but she's just watching through a hacked camera. Yusuke and Ryuji receive their orders from Eri, which Haru proceeds to bump into her while pouring ketchup, which leads to poor Ryuji being covered in ketchup. Also forgot to mention that Makoto took up a fighting stance while the boys were ordering for some reason. That's what Haru did. Ryuji says, "Oh yeah, I could do a better job at being a maid," which we see maid Ryuji. Anyway, they discuss how Ren was taken to the police station for questioning after the poisoning. Ryuji says, "Hey Mona, are you fine without Ren?" Which Mona answers that he's completely fine without him. Like usual, the police just shit talk Ren of his past, oh yeah, he assaulted a person, yada yada. We all know this isn't true, but at this point in the story, nobody knows outside of the Phantom Thieves and Ren himself. The panel between Mika talking about how they think the person that poisoned. Anyway, Mika and On talk about, oh yeah, who is the person that poisoned the president? Mika says it's Tokito. I forgot to mention him in chapter 1. He kinda sucked up to the president a bit. But On tells her to be quiet next time since everyone in the restaurant could hear that. On asks for actual proof / evidence. She says that Tokito was planning to recruit from the president's company, hearing him talk about it on the phone after the meeting. Mika essentially is saying that Tokito is sly and conniving, which Anne says he's the opposite of. Then we go back to the station. We see Ren being further shit-talked by the police. We also see that On is saying to Mika that the Phantom Thieves will solve the case. We go back to the rest of the gang at the cafe, then meeting up with Ren as a flashback plays of Eri shit-talking Makoto and Haru about how they suck as maids. Telling them if they leak her job to the school, she'll forever hate them. They sully about thinking of their plan to go as well. Yada yada. Well, oh yeah, Makoto almost got kidnapped later on in the chapter. Ren and Ryuji rush in to save her, seeing the kidnappers having alien masks, which they quickly sweep off to reveal they're just humans. Ren is complaining about extra homework from the teacher that threw chalk at him earlier, and Futaba is constantly questioning while trying to bathe. Well, that was apparently a dream, because he sees the alien dudes asking, "Hey, wanna get bathed?" Anyway, he decides to go to the Crossbar Road. Crossbar Road? What the fuck am I talking about? The Crossroads Bar, the one Oya is at, and he decides to ask Oya some questions. Tokito, he was wondering, he was a former actor, right? Or he doesn't say this, but we figure out he's a former actor from Oya. And his little sister was an idol under Asaka's agency. That's the same idol that died. Which Oya drops the bombshell that's Tokito's sister, that's the same idol that committed suicide after being forced into sexual labor. I feel like this is the end of part 1. Part 2 should probably arrive some other time soon. Well, anyway, have a splendid time. I'll cover the rest of Mementos Mission at some other point. Bye bye.